The first large-scale leaks for Battlefield 6's upcoming Battle Royale mode are finally out thanks to prominent leaker Temporyal, who data mined the details from a recent Battlefield Labs build, and there's quite a bit to discuss. I know that for a lot of people this might not be their cup of tea, but I do think that Battlefield has quite the unique opportunity here upcoming. While you or I may not be as keen on Battle Royale experiences anymore, the market itself is still thriving, so when games like Warzone are getting stale or dropping the ball, an experience from Battlefield, already historically known for their large-scale combat and game-changing moments through destruction and such, if it were a Venn diagram of things that made sense, it'd be kind of a circle to me. Again, is it for everybody? Probably not, but it is something that I'm surprised we haven't seen a larger push beyond Firestorm in Battlefield 5 in the past. But for the narrative lore and how this ties in, according to Temporyal's leaks, it said, after explosive disaster exposes a classified military R&D facility to attack by multiple unidentified PMC groups, the handler deploys an elite squad to secure the site before its secrets can fall into the wrong hands. As for the gameplay mechanics and the sort of ever-encroaching zone, this is apparently going to be called the NXC Flamefront. Described as a ring of burning, NXC is never stable. It will constantly collapse until nothing remains. NXC instantly destroys anything it touches. Respect the ring, you'll start burning if you're too close to the ring. As with other Battle Royales, you'll also see that ring prediction, which showcases the inner ring on your map denoting where the safe zone will be. What I find interesting about this is that it instantly destroys what it touches. So world elements like buildings, perhaps, and other things like that might just go up in smoke or be vaporized, but I'm curious how that interacts with the player. Obviously, it can't kill you immediately if you go into it, but if it's destroying landscapes instantaneously, it's a bit odd. So is that going to change the mold a bit on how you interact with the zone in the Battle Royale genre? It's also strange that it says you'll start burning if you're too close to it. Like, is this going to be a new sort of progressive ramp up in proximity where damage increases the closer you get to it after a certain point? But interesting no less. As for your gameplay mechanics, well, of course, scavenging is going to be a big part here of any Battle Royale. It's said that you can walk over dead enemies' backpacks to collect their ammo and armor plates, thus, of course, giving us the information we have armor plates, as we'll touch on in a second, as well with some upgrades to that. You can recover combat vehicle access keycards from killed hostiles that were holding them. Those, again, something we'll get into. But gameplay features, priority missions are going to be a thing, which essentially sounds like a contract. High reward opportunities that present themselves as situations on the ground unfold. There's an interesting thing about this sort of mission, though, is that apparently you can counter these, where it says when a nearby enemy squad starts a mission, you may be given the chance to stop them and steal their rewards. A few sort of VO announcements were found in the game files, which mentions to watch out for another team trying to counter you on an elimination, a high-value asset mission, or a demolition crew mission. So giving us some context of some of the things we'll be able to do in this Battle Royale. But for completing these missions, it says that you can end up getting things like a combat vehicle access keycard, custom weapon drops, and more. One associated line mentioned you have a gunsmith kit that you can use to improve your weapon. Open your inventory, select the weapon, and upgrade it. So these missions giving you sort of rewards that can be used in game to upgrade either your kit or your player itself. Vehicle keycards, again, one of those things mentioned, it said that you have to obtain a vehicle keycard to get a marked container to access a powerful combat vehicle. My mind immediately goes to something, and this is not the best example, but it's just where my mind goes immediately for the simplest terms of this, is something like the LTV from Modern Warfare Zombies as a sort of first reference. Obviously, not the same, but when those were locked up behind the cargo contracts, you had to activate the contract, get something, and then have the ability to open those up. Same thing kind of sounds like that, where you get the access keycard here for this, and then you have to obtain that vehicle, in which case described as a powerful combat vehicle. It kind of sounds like maybe it has like a turret on it or something like that, where you can also drive players around, but have a little bit of an armory on top of it. Vehicle containers are something that after you open that combat vehicle container with a keycard, you do have to defend it while it opens. So it's another step to that process. So that'll add an interesting dynamic to it, it sounds like. Your custom weapon drops are mentioned to watch for airdrop support packages containing your customized weapons. You can retrieve one of your custom weapons from a custom weapon drop, find another one to secure a second custom weapon. Custom weapon drops can be earned as a rare reward for completing missions. So this essentially sounds like it's going to be your loadout drop from Warzone, but in a more, I guess, middle ground, true to fashion for Battle Royales, not necessarily giving you the whole class, but instead only one weapon at a time. Obviously, still not pure Battle Royale because you have the opportunity to get something explicitly that you want, custom tailored how you want, and it's not just a pick up and play type of thing, whatever you find goes. but also not necessarily relying on it as much as, say, Warzone. And that's an interesting mechanic, I think, that will allow for a sort of mid-ground between making a meta and having a game dominated by metas, but also still being something that offers a little bit of benefit to having the core Battle Royale formula involved. Beyond that, it's mentioned that there will be field upgrades where you can complete missions to earn your field upgrades quickly, where it said unlock new traits for your class by completing missions, getting kills, looting, and finding intel drives, and the intel drive you just picked up has earned your significant progress on your field upgrade. So while we don't know what this will entail, it's probably something that will, of course, be able to help you out gadget-wise or some sort of buff to your actual character. Second Chance was something that was basically going to be your re-entry into the game if you do die, where it said for a short period of time after infill, you get 1 free redeployment after death, which is a very interesting thing that, again, seems to be like resurgence functionality baked into the actual Battle Royale experience. An interesting twist that I'm not sure if it's brilliant or just odd. I'm going to need to let that one bake a little bit and come back to that on my thoughts, but beyond that, you have redeploy points, like locations. It said if one of your squad mates is killed, activate a redeploy point to bring them back into the fight. Mobile redeploy points can be found as rare loot and as a reward for completing missions. You can contest redeploy points activated by hostiles to pause their activation progress. Kind of sounding like a cross between buybacks and a way to get yourself back into the game, but also with like the revive system in, say, Fortnite, where it says you have to activate a respawn tower to bring back your dead squad mates. Now, one really big function that differs in how players can interact with a game while out of play, say you don't have a teammate that is available to get you back at a redeploy point just yet. This is something that is an interesting twist here, because for most BRs in the early years, if you were knocked and eliminated, that was it. Your game was over for you. Then, recent years, the last 5 or so, we've seen a lot of games adopt redeploys, buybacks, and other means to get back into the action. While that's still the case here for Battlefield 6's leaks thus far, there's another way to stay in the action even while you're dead, while you're not directly there with your squad. This is the Oversight system. This, in these leaks, was detailed as a way to allow soldiers to stay in the action with remote cameras, drones, and turrets while they may be not in the action itself, where Oversight terminals give your dead teammates control of advanced security systems with lethal potential. Kind of, by definition, sounding like you have a way to seek out or perhaps capture these, that these are specific locations that you have to maybe like strongholds capture. And that's sort of strengthened by the next point, where beyond that, Oversight gadgets will allow you to, even if you don't control a terminal, again, seemingly as something you have to capture, allows your dead squad mates to use local security cameras to maintain visibility, seemingly giving Overwatch to a lesser degree or not as great visibility as the terminals themselves. Public cameras are also something that is a feature here that's detailed, that are drones accessible via the Oversight system that have ordnance delivery capabilities, meaning yeah, you can drop bombs from these things, which is interesting. And additionally, Oversight drones can be used to access redeploy points. The Oversight turrets are controllable by those out of the action, but are susceptible to enemy fire. So this is a really big twist, I think, for how you can stay engaged with your team and in the game itself, even if you are completely finished by an enemy squad. So this will be a very interesting thing here that I'm curious to see how this plays, but on paper, it's definitely a big twist. Now, while you're down, it is something that I forgot to mention. There is the shakedown mechanic, which will perform a takedown on a down player to take their dog tags and briefly reveal their enemy squad mate's position. So kind of mixing like the interrogation feature we saw the last 2 years within Warzone before it was removed, with a finishing move as well. So a nice little way to get additional information. Now, additional gameplay items, this just some smaller stuff. There are class chests, which are detailed as loot tailored to your chosen class. Rare chests, which can contain upgraded weapons, call-ins, and excess API plate carriers, so upgraded plate capabilities. There's upgraded armor, where you can find an excess API plate carrier to double that armor capacity, just kind of baking into that. A supply bag armor crate, which is your support class supply bag, which will give armor plates. Lootable vehicles, which some abandoned civilian and military vehicles can be looted for stuff, but they detailed there are alarms that will give away your position. Vehicle resupply stations are available, which if you're low on health or ammo in a combat vehicle, you can find one of these stations to top off, though they do have limited uses, so you want to be careful about that. And finally, the repair tool. In classic Battlefield fashion, this is returning to repair vehicles and gadgets from the engineer class. Ultimately, this is a lot of information that I did not expect to see this early out still. Of course, we still don't officially know what the next Battlefield game is going to be called. We, of course, have a very good idea, but it is something that it's kind of crazy to consider that all of this has leaked from a Battlefield Labs build here from this. So ultimately, it's a lot to take in. I do think that in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty cool. And again, as we mentioned, I think it's in a unique space in the industry right now that even as a late entry into the genre of Battle Royale, I do think it could do some damage because like we talked about, the genre itself really is not falling off all that much. The sort of games popping up in the Battle Royale genre are still there. You still have games like PUBG pulling near 1 million players concurrently on single platforms like Steam. But then you also have other giants like Apex and Warzone that are either getting stale, dropping the ball, something in between where the community is not necessarily the happiest with the state of the game, that it could come in, sweep in, and if done right, is something that could pull a large audience out of it and be a success. Now, I wholly recognize that it's not for everybody, and people will absolutely be resistant to this. I understand it. I'm personally kind of over the BR phase myself. I know a lot of people in the Battlefield community are not necessarily fans of having everything include a Battle Royale, which is fine. But it's a really weird dichotomy of the situation because I feel like if the multiplayer and the core offering that you're paying for is going to be done properly, done well, that both can thrive, I think that'll be good for everybody involved and really just boost the Battlefield name. But if you're hesitant to what we saw with, say, Call of Duty and perhaps the degradation of the brand and the mainline experiences as a result, that's something that's up for debate and depends on who you ask. Sure, if you're worried about that kind of stuff, I do think it's also very valid to have those concerns. So it's an interesting situation that just right now we don't have enough information on if it'll be good, if it'll be bad, or if it'll just be entirely neutral. We don't have that information just yet, but for now, that's what we do know about what is apparently upcoming. So drop your thoughts down below, drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Battlefield and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have you in the community. For now though, thanks so much for watching. Mine is an Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.